Welcome to the Capital Campaign page for our Holy Infant website. I'm speaking to you from a classroom in which second graders, 26 of them, were taught this past year. And one of the things that's most remarkable about this room, you see on that wall, the prayers that are placed up there very carefully by their teacher so that they can learn the basic prayers of our faith. And then on the other side, which you can see some of the various items on the bulletin board, the things that the kids work on. This room, as tiny as it is jam-packed with people's caring for these kids. We see it in the art, we see it in the prayers, we see it in just every bit of this space. But this is no longer enough for our parish. It's too small. We had 26 children in here from second grade, and granted, second grade kids are tiny, but they're not tiny enough, and it was tight for them. But with good spirit, they managed and they learned well what they needed to learn. This is archetypical of our entire facility currently. It's undersized. The classrooms are only one way that our parish is undersized. We have too few of them, and the ones that we have are too small. When you look at our fellowship space, the fellowship space overlaps our worship space. The fellowship space by itself is too small. Our worship space by itself is too small. On Sundays, we're required really to use that, and very often our hospitality room as well, in order to have an adequate space for worship. And in many cases, even then, especially at the 11 o'clock, that's not the case. Foreseeing that this was happening and that this trend would continue and be exacerbated by the continuing growth of population in this area, long before I got here, Holy Infant Parish began a very careful series of studies, town hall meetings, and surveys that looked carefully at the needs. And one of the chief needs provided by the parish itself was this. One of the things that we need to do as a Holy Infant Parish, and this is 5 or 6 years ago when this was said, we need to provide parish facilities that adequately meet existing and future needs. And we're not even meeting existing needs. We're not shrinking. We're definitely going to be on the growing side. In 2015, a team of parishioners conducted a needs assessment study and identified several priorities. One is to right-size our worship space. It's undersized currently, and that, of course, will be getting worse as the number of parishioners increases. We also need to expand our number of classrooms as well as the size of those classrooms to increase the number of meeting spaces that we also have, because we're often trying to meet in the same space at the same time. We need to create a fellowship and gathering environment, which we will do when we renovate this building, and develop a columbarium for cremated remains. And then we want to provide a playground because we're booming with kids. And that is a great problem to have. But we want them to be happy here. We want them to feel like they have their place in the choir, as it were, a place to fit in, a place to have fun. Because we love them and we want them here. With these priorities as a guiding principle, the facility team worked with Canon Architects. Now, Canon Architects was selected from a number of other architects. We carefully considered a whole variety of firms, and they really came out by far the best. We asked them to really look carefully at this building. Could we, in fact, just simply renovate the place? They said, you could, but it will cost you more than building an entirely new building. And if you renovate it and make it into church, a church the size that you need, you will no longer have a fellowship space. You will have completely absorbed it. So that was the problem. So now we were really left with that possibility, and we really went to the parish and said we would like to do a construction of an entirely new church, a renovation of the current building that we're in into fellowship and classroom space, and the building of a chapel and columbarium. Overwhelmingly, the parish supported this. Thank you for that. So we're currently in the process of implementing those plans, and that's the very purpose of this website, to tell you where we are in terms of getting those plans off the ground, to tell you where we are in terms of our capital campaign, to tell you where we are with our needs, with our concerns, to tell you where we are with the diocese and how they look at this, and to really give you a forum in which to ask questions if you have them. Thank you. Enjoy the site. There's a lot of great stuff to see.